Ice hockey. A symphony of teamwork, agility, and creative plays. The sport includes the use of a fiberglass hockey stick, full-body padding and helmet, ice skates, and a black puck made of rubber. All of that comes together on the ice rink, which is what you're seeing be made here. The point of ice hockey is to get the puck into the net. To do so, a player must pass, skate, and shoot the puck at very fast speeds. Along with agility, physicality is involved with ice hockey as well. Checking and fighting are predominant characteristics of men's ice hockey. Played nearly everywhere across the world, the concept of ice hockey and its aggressive reputation is no novelty to sports lovers and athletes alike. The sport's aggressive nature and the lack of representation of women in hockey leads hockey to be seen as a predominantly male-dominated sport. In turn, feeding into stereotypes about female athletes and possibly hindering a future where both male and female athletes are equally valued.
Hi, I'm Sage Adler. I'm 17 years old and I've been playing hockey since I was 7. I began playing with the Park City Boys co-ed team up until 14 and continued with the Utah Lady Grizzlies from there on. One of the things I love most about hockey is the fact that it is truly a team sport. You can't have just one individual good player. And it really feels like a team success, not just an individual success, even when just one person has an awesome breakaway and a goal. Because you know it was a whole team effort. Once I started playing for the Utah Lady Grizzlies, it truly felt like a team, like a family. It didn't always feel that way when I played boys hockey for the Park City Miners. I was often ignored. Sometimes it felt like I was forgotten. Maybe it was because I was quiet, or maybe it was because they just never gave me the chance to be loud. I tried to hold conversations, but we were young, and I think because I was a girl, that made some of the guys on my team uncomfortable. Because I was a girl, I guess I wasn't interesting to talk to.
There are a lot of stereotypes in sports in general, ice hockey especially. People seem to think one needs to be big and super tough to play the sport, but that can be limiting. There are only a few noticeable differences between women's and men's ice hockey. Yet, female athletes are often overlooked even if they are doing better than their male counterparts. In women's ice hockey, checking or hitting is prohibited, meaning more passing is required, leading to more hand-eye coordination and agility being used. This allows for a more strategy-focused game, as checking isn't used as a means of getting the puck. Men's hockey, on the other hand, encourages checking as a necessary part of the sport, leading the plays to adapt to checking opportunities. Although the act of checking isn't allowed in women's hockey, that doesn't mean that the physicality of the game goes away entirely. Ice hockey, with or without checking, is still an extremely physically demanding sport, and women still fit in the occasional hit. The lack of checking may lead some to view women's ice hockey as lesser than men's ice hockey. Regardless, women have increasingly joined the sport over the years and made it their own. In Canada, women's ice hockey has been promoted as superior to the men's game, with more speed and finesse and less violence. When it comes to research in sports, studies are almost always done on male athletes. The lack of inclusivity in sports research leads to a gap in information pertaining to female athletes. Because men and women are being compared to one another, misinformation spreads about how females and males perform athletically. Due to male and female bodies having key differences in how they function, a comparison is created in places where the factors are not comparable at all. The fact remains that women are significantly underrepresented in sports and exercise research, with less than 40% of participants included. The lack of research done on women in sports continues the lack of representation of women in sports. Brands like Nike headlining female athletes is revolutionary compared to history. But how we portray women in sports is just as important as portraying them in general. Corporations such as Nike capitalize on and perpetuate discourses of progress and achievement that promote an idealistic account of girls' and women's sports and liberated femininity, while seemingly erasing the practical realities of their participation that is too often encumbered by historical and cultural constraints. That is not to say everything Nike has done has been in vain. Nike and other brands like Adidas have done amazing things for representation of women athletes. But the question remains, why does women's hockey really matter? Equality is a big concern today. Equality in general is making headway. Equal pay is becoming a norm, and we are continuously dropping previous societal standards put on both men and women. In the case of women's sports, we are seeing growth in girls participating in sports like hockey. USA Hockey states, "Today, girls hockey is among the fastest growing youth sport in the United States. But a step forward in one location does not excuse a step backwards in another." Title IX, a bill passed in 1972, prohibits sex discrimination in any education program or activity receiving federal financial assistance. Although the Civil Rights Act has been in action for 50 years, sports at a collegiate level are still not equally represented between men and women. Colleges known for hockey, such as the University of North Dakota and the University of Michigan, do not have NCAA women's hockey teams, despite having them in previous years. Along with that, organizations in charge of girls' youth hockey are continuing to drop girls' hockey teams for reasons similar to NCAA, like funding issues and/or lack of resources. What message is this sending to the younger generations of female athletes? As long as sports continue to subscribe to a male norm, the sports arena will remain an unequal part of society, in spite of all the efforts made in order to increase the power of women. Because even if the performance would be just as good, women would still not be men. A society lacking equality and equal representation in things like sports creates a society that lacks representation everywhere. We are skating on thin ice. We don't start to put effort into equality and start to value things that seem minuscule and unimportant, like a sport for a little girl or a collegiate women's hockey team. We will never move past inequality. And society will continue to spread negative, false information. Humanity must be seen in places that have not yet seen representation. For example, women's sports. Specifically, women's hockey.